And we're back, don't worry, we are not even halfway done serving you up steaming heaps of delicious Dota 2. Are you excited about it? Come on, wake up. I know we've been sitting here waiting a while. Yeah, okay, we're back, and we are here with match 2, which is going to be Fnatic versus LGD. Are you guys excited to see it? Let's hear it for the captains as we bring up Fly and Xiao 8. Come on up. All right, Fly, the big news is that you're missing 2 of your players right now. Era and Hani can't be with you, but you're replacing them with MVP's Demon as well as Speed Gaming's Owie 2000. So are these guys who are proven championship players going to be able to compensate for kind of the madness that comes from putting 2 new players into the mix?
I think we got really good players, but it's still very different to play with some people we haven't played with before. It changes everything, strategy and like communication. So I still think we can do it, but it's going to be, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't.
All right, well, we'll see. Now, LGD is the #1 seed in the Eastern Division, and again, that division is super competitive. So what have you guys done to prepare to hold on to that #1 spot and ultimately emerge champions?
你们来到这也是以小组第1的身份来，就东方小组第1，然后东方那个竞争也非常激烈。那你们来到这里是怎么准备捍卫这个第1的地位？
我们就有研究就过来的每一个对手，然后分别怎么打他们，我们都有很好的准备。
Says they have prepared for each and every opponent that they might face and done research and done some preparation for each of them. So that's how they're going to go at it.
Great. Well, Fnatic, you are number 2 seed in the Western Division, and you're actually coming off of a string of second-place finishes in major tournaments, notably EMS1 most recently. So do you think this could be the one where you get that big first-place finish?
I hope so. It would be nice for a change, but we're going to be happy for sure going second again, even that. But we can maybe make it. We'll see. Today will tell us a lot more.
Well, it definitely will. And I know that, I mean, travel conditions here in the U.S. have been just crazy the last week. And LGD actually had some challenges getting here. I know that last night you had to drive from L.A. to get here to Vegas in order to play these matches. Are you guys tired? And is that travel experience going to be affecting your play at all, do you think?
问你们从上海过来过程也是比较曲折吧？那个从 LA 是坐车到拉斯维加斯的，然后是今天早上才到，那这个会影响你们发挥吗？
我觉得不会，我们会调整的过来的。
He thinks that no, they're going to be able to make the adjustments.
Sounds good to me. All right, just in closing, do you have any words of either, good luck or maybe a little bit of a challenge for your opponents?
Good luck to them. It's going to be fun playing them, and yeah, we're going to beat them.
Oh, nice words. What about you guys?
最后有没有想对对手说的话？
大家一起加油，打好比赛吧。
It's all add oil and have fun.
All right, guys, go ahead and shake hands. We'll get right into that match. With that, it's back to you, casters, AC and Merlini.
And once again, we're back here on the floor of Emperor's Ballroom #2 here at Caesars Palace as the D2L Grand Final Season 4 continues to roll on. And I'll tell you, we've already had an unbelievably thrilling series to lead things off in Vici and Alliance, and Vici certainly getting the best of Alliance there. Really an impressive performance out of them, but coming into this second series, it's all going to be about a tale of roster woes, and this counts on both sides. Fnatic, as we know, missing 2, and this is a core 5 on Fnatic that really does tend to draft and build their compositions and build their play style around the fact that these 5 have been together for so long. So even as good as Demon happens to be, as Owie happens to be, they're going to have to make major adjustments on the fly. And you and I were actually talking to Demon last night. They haven't even had a chance to practice together yet.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for them that they haven't been able to scrim together as a team. But I think, both of these players have played a lot. Owie has played multiple roles. He's played the carry role on Dignitas. He plays the support role on Speed. And Demon has also switched around a bit too. So I think they can adapt to whatever Fnatic decides they need at the time. And I think they're more than suitable replacements, although the chemistry is something that you have to worry about. Yeah. I think that Fnatic's were favorites going in before all the stand-in changes, and now LGD LGD, and it should be like 60-40 favorites.
Yeah, and Fnatic not the only ones. LGD having their own set of roster issues, which are not public, but are certainly been well discussed in the weeks leading up to this. So we'll see which team is going to be
gossip
able to
monger.
Gossip. Hey, it's not me. It's Reddit. Blame Reddit as always. But before we head into the draft, though, here there was a little bit more of choice words, a little bit of friendly banter between these two teams, and we'll go ahead and take a look at that right now.
Bulldog, I'm gonna take you down like a bear. You know what, Loda? After tonight, I'm not sure about killing Milky's because she likes to stay with winners.
We're gonna play VG, and after losing our last game, it's time for some revenge, and we're gonna take it all out on RTK, and he's got it coming for him.
So, we're going to be playing LGD China today, and I'm going to expect to, hopefully in one of the games, meet Xiaowei middle, and not only take away the first blood, I'm going to take away his girlfriend. And that's how it's going to be.
And yeah, I believe we got one video too many, at least. So, but nonetheless, we see a little bit of smack talk that hopefully we'll hit the right button this time, guys. And I'm pretty sure there was a little bit of counter barrage that came out from LGD as well. Or maybe not, as they... What's going on back there, seriously? But anyway, the draft's already underway, and I'll tell you what. How about we move into that and take a look at what's
I want to
going
see more
on.
smack talk.
I do too, but...
no heroes have even been picked yet.
I know. Whenever the production team screams no, usually that means go to the draft.
Fnatic's turn
Venomancer going to be the first pickup from LGD, as we can see the bans out on both sides. Alchemist and Doom taken out by Fnatic, while LGD wants to prevent any sort of IO play, something Fnatic does more often, really, than any other team in the West or in the world. I mean, post 6.78, we just haven't seen IO really given that kind of priority by many teams. Fnatic tends to stick with it, though, and LGD not going to let them get their hands on it this time.
The Eastern teams seem to draft very similarly. Vici highly prioritized Venomancer and top-tier supports, and I think they took him first pick whenever they could. Visage, surprisingly, has not been chosen. He didn't get nerfed that hard. I think that Venomancer actually got nerfed in the most recent patch a little bit harder than Visage, but Visage was banned out by Alliance, I think, in every single game.
Yep. And we've seen the power of the hero across the board. There really isn't a team here or anywhere else that is not going to get some very real mileage out of the hero. But as we see, two heroes already out, Chen and the Venomancer. We'll see what Fnatic wants to pair with that. And, you know, we've been seeing, and we saw this coming through the Western Division, No Tails Chen is pretty damn good. I mean, it's a, you know, it's
could be Aoi playing Chen, too.
Yeah, it very well could. And that's something that, you know, I guess you could almost work that into an advantage. I mean, if you've been doing your scouting on Fnatic and their tendencies to begin with, and now all of a sudden you have this curveball of Demon and Aoi standing in, yes, that's going to mess with their team composition. It's going to cause them some problems, but it's also going to make you very unpredictable, which is something that LGD is going to have to try and deal with. Fnatic going to grab up Slark to go with that Chen, so already we can see the potential for a lot of aggression in those front two.
And for those of you that are unfamiliar as to why Fnatic is playing with some unusual players, we have Demon standing in for Hani and Aoi standing in for Era, or whatever you want to say. Era apparently is begotten with illness, so everybody wish him well. And Hani just had travel issues. Yep. There were some issues along the way, but Aoi coming in from Vancouver, Demon coming in from LA to fill in the necessary roles.
Yep, and I think that's going to be a treat for everyone on the floor. I mean, like I said, it's an unusual situation, but that volatility oftentimes gives you some of the more fun things you'll ever see. And Fnatic, as you had mentioned, really could have been considered and was considered by many to be a favorite coming in to this tournament until they lost those two core players. And LGD, I mean, right now it's so hard to say. I mean, LGD is just a feast and famine team of late, and we know how good they can be. We saw them run the table in our Eastern Division during D2L group stage play, and they did so pretty convincingly, dropping very few games at all, let alone not dropping a series. But it depends on which team's going to show up to play today. We can see they've grabbed the Dragon Knight to go with the Venomancer, so already a fair amount of push if they want to try to build that kind of a lineup.
I say that all four of these teams that have shown up to the grand finals, they've all had their peak sometime in the past few months, and not all of them are at their maximum strength right now. Fnatic, they were looking real good, I think in late October, early November. LGD had quite the run where they were on top of the Eastern Hemisphere, and then Alliance winners of TI3. And Vici Gaming also in December and late November were just number 1, 2. But all these teams, they seem on very, very even ground too, and even with these two stand-ins, I think this will be a very, very close match.
taking a look at what LGD's tendencies tend to be, and we
5
talked about it all
seconds
throughout their
remaining.
Eastern Division play, they're a team that just loves the 5-man. And what you can do to them, unfortunately for them
Reserve
anyway,
time.
is they are susceptible to being rat-doted. They are susceptible to being stretched too thin. They are susceptible to games going longer than they would like. They're very based on timing windows in a lot of cases because they get together as 5 and rarely do they split up if they have any kind of success. And Fnatic has shown us time and time again they can play that game with anyone on the planet. They can avoid fights. They can manage to take secondary objectives like Tower, Sneaker, Roshan. That's a weakness LGD has had. You know, again, they're great in pretty much every regard, but if you had to pick one little weak point, that most likely would be it. And already Fnatic, with the Chen and the Slark obviously a slippery little fellow who's going to be trying to get across the map and make things happen as soon as he hits 6. I feel like it's going to be the activity of the Chen, though, that really sets the tone and the pace for Fnatic early on. Don't think this is going to be a Chen who sits in jungles until level 6. I think we're going to start to see him move around levels 1 to 3 and really try to get a lane win somewhere else.
Yeah, the early Slark pickup is a little bit unusual. We didn't see him in any of our previous series. I don't think he was even banned out either. So him being picked in the first phase is slightly unusual. I think the hero is pretty strong. He doesn't cope well versus massive amounts of AoE, but a lot of single targets and disables. I think he does well with his Dark Pack if he can actually secure some sort of farm. But he rarely has that difficult of a time in lane.
10
you can put him
seconds
solo
remaining.
mid, you can put him safe lane carry, you can put him off lane, and he just does a fantastic
5
job at
seconds
roaming
remaining.
around the map, securing vision for your team too, because his ultimate won't go off if there's observer wards in a region. You can just
LGD's
notify your
turn to
supports,
pick.
and he's just a slippery little fellow, like you said.
I'll tell you what, I like that Lifestealer pickup a lot because you can already see, again, we touched on the fact that generally speaking, Fnatic loves to run IO lineups. LGD certainly respecting that, giving it the respect ban in second position. But now with Slark,
Fnatic's
again, a
turn
hero who
to
just
pick.
innately, because of his skill set, is able to cover a lot of ground on the map, is able to stay out on the map for long periods of time because of his increased regen. Now you have a Lifestealer that can infest into the Slark. You catch a target with Leap, that target is dead to rights. Generally speaking, a well-leveled Slark will be able to make that a reality by himself. Now you add the punching power of a Lifestealer, you have the ability to get Lifestealer in and out of fights and just to use him as a pure out-and-out ganker
10
if you want to.
seconds
And
remaining.
I feel like that fits in very well with that kind of playstyle we talked about. Fnatic
5
just taking a
seconds
bit of a different
remaining.
approach to it this time around.
Yep, and it looks like Bane will be picked up immediately following the Lifestealer pickup by LGD and
LGD's turn
Fnatic
to
with
pick.
the Storm pickup too. So it looks like they're going all out with the gank, and they do have somewhat of a rough early game in store for them, I think. Just because their lanes aren't that strong. Storm Spirit is notoriously weak prior to level 6 in a lot of matchups. I guess probably not versus Dragon Knight, though.
Right.
And Venomancer is extremely strong at level 1. Chen kind of needs that level 5 and level 6 if he wants to be extremely effective. He usually needs another support if he
10
wants to get a
seconds
kill in
remaining.
their early games. So Fnatic, we'll see how they play with
5
their
seconds
second support coming out very, very soon, whether it's a passive one or an aggressive one.
Right off the
Reserve
bat, I
time.
really just like Fnatic's lineup. This is a lineup that's built to get out and to derail LGD's trademark style. That 5-man, we're going to bring the fight to you, try to dodge it if you want, then we'll just take a tower. That kind of an approach is going to be very tough to execute into a team that just has so many ways to start fights on their own terms. We talked about Lifestealer being able to infest into Slark, but of course you have the Lifestealer bomb with the Storm Spirit now. The fact, and Storm, by the way, is just such an excellent counter to Bane as a hero in general. Usually when you have a Bane, especially against a primary target like a Lifestealer is going to be, you want him in the back of the fight. You want to make sure that when he gets his Fiend's Grip, it's going to be a full duration. Storm Spirit makes it so nowhere on the map is safe for Bane to be, and any kind of vision that Fnatic has is going to give them a chance to take that hero out right off the bat.
Fnatic is, I think, going to have a hard time finding kills on LGD, though, because LGD, they have the potential to just 5-man take down towers very early with the fortification of Plague Wards, Dragon Knight beating on your tower, and just that massive amount of damage coming out from their team right now. I don't know if Fnatic can actually break that without some immense amount of farm, whether it's a BKB on Slark or a Lincoln's on him, an Armlet or drums on Lifestealer, an Orchid on Storm Spirit. Those are really the items that you want before you start to fight LGD. And LGD, they can fight even without a BKB on Dragon Knight. They can fight without a mech, and I think their lineup is much more suited at taking that kind of fights early. And LGD as a team, their playstyle also dictates that too.
Taking a look at the chalk and
10 seconds
what we could
remaining.
ostensibly expect, at least based on what we see so far, one would imagine
5
that'll be a
seconds
mid-Storm
remaining.
Spirit with a
Fnatic's
actually check that.
turn
That's
to
kind of tough to
ban.
call. I mean, when you talk about the Lifestealer and his capability of running in the off lane, that's something Fnatic did for quite some time. Slark and Storm Spirit both really enjoy having the mid position. Slark, though, can be played as a farming role. Lifestealer and as well as Jhin can work well in the jungle. So a very ambiguous lineup for Fnatic right now. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they have Demon and Aoi standing in. It's just impossible to know when the tendencies are just kind of thrown up in the air. Finally, though, we see that Visage pick come out in 4th position. So that's going to add to everything you just outlined, Merlini. The fact that Visage has such an immense amount of damage output with Soul Assumption and his ability to just contribute to both a push and a team fight lineup.
Yeah, and their tri-lane is going to be enormously
remaining.
strong.
Yep.
Not really sure who they're going to pick as their safe lane farmer, or
5
actually,
seconds
they have
remaining.
Venomancer, Bane, and Visage, so I'm not really sure what their lanes are going to be, because that's already 3 supports, at least in the traditional sense, so they may be switching things a little bit up.
We've seen Zhao 8 run a mid Venomancer before. That's something worth mentioning. If they wanted to do something like safe lane farm the Dragon Knight, or even try to. We've seen actually Dragon Knights as much of a problem as he can have
5 seconds remaining.
in high pressure situations. When he has the right supporting cast, the strength of Dragon Tail in particular and the AOE damage of Breathe Fire can make him potent. He just has to have help.
To pick.
And both teams really kind of throwing us curveballs here. I feel the same way about Fnatic's lineup. They're very, very open-ended in terms of who they want to put where.
Yep, still deciding on the last support. The Shadow Demon Chen roaming duo is very, very potent early, very good versus Visage Burst, Bane, Grip, and as well as Dragon Knight stun too. So they have a lineup that if one of them gets caught out or just steps slightly out of position, can always be saved by a Shadow Demon. So I think that their lineup is going to be a little bit difficult to execute. I think it takes a lot of teamwork. Their positioning has to be really spot on. Shadow Demon has to be really good about the defensive disruptions, and Storm Spirit, Lifestealer, and Slark have to work together very, very well if they want to get kills on LGD International. And look like Necrolite, also known as Necrophos. I don't like that name at all, by the way.
Well, it's actually kind of clever because if I'm not mistaken, it's Latin. Like Necrolite is spelled, Necrolyte originally, right? Necrophos, and phos means light, L-I-G-H-T in Latin. So it's literally Necrolite. If you read it, it just, a double meaning. But Fnatic seems to have had one drop, and we'll hope they jump back in. And hopefully there's no permanent issue, just a reconnect or something like that. But
yeah, their 5-man is really scary.
Yeah.
Super scary.
It's going to be tough. I mean, the sustain that LGD is going to have, especially if they're able to get out a fairly quick mechanism, be it on the Visage or even on a Venomancer.
Or Necrophos.
Yeah, Necrophos as well. I mean, if they're able to get up a fairly quick mechanism, they're going to be able to just set their heels, get their guns pointed forward, and just start marching on towers. And if Fnatic is not in a good position, as you mentioned, with a fairly sizable amount of farm, if they haven't managed to keep the early game under control so far as kills and levels go, they're going to find themselves in a situation very similar to what we saw Alliance facing in Game 2, where BG just basically said, we're just going to go attack every tower, and literally you cannot show up to fight. You've given up too much so far.
I mean, I think both teams' game plan is pretty, it's very easy to see what they're going to do. LGD, just get an early mech, or even without the early mech, just 5-man take down T1s, pressure T2s if you have to, and then starve and try and win from there. Fnatic, they're just trying to split push, delay whatever 5-man that LG is trying to throw at them, whether it's stalling from Chen creeps, whether it's just getting kills here and there so they can't actually push as 5. Fnatic will be employing those tactics to drag the game on as long as they can before they really force the 5-on-5s, and they want their items up as soon as possible. BKBs, armlets, just survivability on their 3 core heroes.
Looks like we should be getting underway momentarily. Not sure what the pause is for the moment, however. We'll take a look at who's handling who. Yep, looks like No-Tail's ready, so he gives the go-ahead, and we begin to load in. It will be Demon playing on the Storm Spirit with Aoi playing on the Lifestealer.
There's a smoke. LGD's moving very, very fast. They drew this line up here, so I'm looking for them to smoke like very soon, or just run up there with boots.
Yep, looks like they're just going to head that way. Venomancer has set a tier 1 boots on him already, so he's looking to lead the charge. And a lot of potential for early deaths on the way, as it looks like it's going to be Fnatic moving in that same direction. So level 1 team fight advantage. Who you give it to, LGD?
There's a smoke. I would say LGD for sure. Chen, very useless early. Lifestealer, he's not very useful. Storm Spirit, pretty useless too. Slark, it's just very lackluster from Fnatic. LGD, they have the DK stun. They have the Venomancer. Venomous Gale, and they have the Soul Assumption and or Grave Chill, which is going to be very potent. Aoi standing there. They see him. He does have a Stout Shield, though. Oh, he pops a smoke.
Yep,
Wow.
scooting away.
Nice play from him.
So close. The range.
Wow.
Just outside of it.
Nice play from Aoi right there. Great awareness, great positioning too. You want to stand way out in the open so that they can't approach you from the fog. Granted, he could rage away, but you don't need to take that risk. You just need to stand out in the open, up a hill, or just they can't approach you. I guess technically they could have like went around here, but that's just so extremely difficult. And Aoi with the smart positioning there wastes 100 gold from LGD and a lot of time. They don't have their ward set up exactly where they wanted to. They did block Chen spawn over here, as well as get a little bit of vision. This is pretty much the exact same ward that we saw Alliance do, or Alliance have, I think, the other game. Or maybe it was VT. I don't know, one of the Radiant teams.
Well, the horn blows and the creep spawn. We're underway here in our second series at the HyperX D2L Grand Finals. Fnatic taking on LGD China. The winner of this will advance to meet Vici at our upper bracket finals tomorrow. The loser will be facing elimination following this match, as they'll fall down to face Alliance in a win or go home scenario. As things begin to take shape, let's take a look at who's handling who. Venomancer going to be played by Zhao8. He's made his way into a one-on-one situation against AUI, who again playing on the Lifestealer. The Dragon Knight will be played by Yao, with Bane handled by DD. Visage will be played by DDC this time around, and Necrophos will be played by Raven. On the other side of the river, we've got Fly handling Shadow Demon. He's going to get galed right in the mouth, and Zhao 8 will be happy to give him a little bit of extra damage on the way out. The Chen will be handled by No-Tail as anticipated. He plays a very solid No-Tail. Demon standing in for Hani. He'll be taking the Storm Spear at mid up against this Dragon Knight. AUI we've already discussed, and Trixie will be playing on the Slarder. Now, the play of, Slark. The play of Slark and Chen in particular, I feel like is really essential for Fnatic. They need the chance to set the tone for this game, and they need the chance to control the pace.
Yeah, Demon is a pretty strong solo mid. There is a Satyr Mindstealer too, burning Yao, and I think that LGD tried to throw Fnatic for a loop because Xiao usually does take that solo mid role. Yao does take that off lane, but with Yao on Dragon Knight, it's very predictable as to who is going to be where. And Fly and No-Tail, they have a smoke. It's very difficult for them to catch Xiao 8 though, because he did go for early boots first build, and there is some creep pulling going on in the bottom lane. Trixie already forced to use a flask. He does have a Stout Shield and only one Tango left, so he's coming under a lot of harass from the dual range lane DD and Rabbit on the Bane and Necrophos respectively. DDC will pick up an Illusion Rune on bottom.
Takes the room. We already have a rotation right now though. Zhao has made his way.
There's a smoke from
mid.
No-Tail and Fly.
This is what they need to do, and this is what I was talking about. Level 1, being active, trying to make things happen. And they're going to take a run in mid lane, it would seem.
I don't know if they can kill Yao. That's a lot of damage to burn through. He has 650 HP, and Demon is almost out of mana right now. He has enough for one Remnant, and he doesn't have any impool.
And here come the Visage Familiars even to help. So they're going to go ahead and loop around. Looks like Zhao 8 going to be the target instead. And Lifestealer, 1 point into open wounds if he wants to spend it, trying to bait it out. They're going to go ahead and go for it. Centaur's there, and the Gale goes off. Raging and swiping away. Looks like our first blood will end up going in favor of Fnatic. No-Tail grabbing the early kill and the early advantage for his team.
I think it's so important for Fnatic that they have their two supports that play together. It's just so important for the supports to be on the same page, because it's very difficult to make things happen as a solo support. And if you're standing as one of the supports, it's just your early game suffers a lot. But if you're mid player and it's your carry player, I think those are probably the most interchangeable, probably off lane too. But your supports are very important to your early game, and No-Tail and Fly doing just that, securing Aoi's farm, killing Xiao 8 in the early game, and they definitely need to be up in kills, I think, like come 10, 12 minutes into the game. If they don't, then LGD will just 5-man snowball and crush them with a mech. So Fnatic has to, they've gotten a decent amount out of its early game, but they need more.
Yep, I agree completely. Down at bottom, we can see LGD is actually hooked up as 3, and they're going to go ahead and push a tower. And this is so very good for them to do. I mean, obviously getting free tower damage is nice and so on and so forth. But just being able to occupy Fnatic and force them to make a move. Otherwise, they just lose a tower for free. They've already spent the glyph. And Rabbit helping to zone out Trixie. He could do nothing but sit under his own tier 2 right now.
Yep, Xiao 8 checking that 4-minute rune on top. It won't go there. It looks like Demon plus a Centaur is going to head down bottom. Is Yao going to be able to get it in time before the Centaur comes?
Centaur's there.
Nice.
Nice
Dire's
cancel on the
bottom
stomp.
tower is under
Demon.
That's
attack.
actually pretty important for him because it secures a 6-minute rune or it secures a kill for him down here on bottom because they don't have any way to keep him in place. They have sleep, but they can't do any damage to him in the process. Looks like Demon's
Here
going
we
to get
go.
a kill.
Demon grabs DDC and nightmared out. Trixie in trouble as well. There's a disruption onto DD. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far. Demon continuing to wreak havoc with that haste rune. Looks like he's ready to scuttle on out. Nope, not done yet. Still laying in the DD. Here comes the TP back in. And, ooh, Demon thought about it. Thought about going for an extra auto attack or two. As it stands, it's a 1-for-1 trade. Make it 2-2.
That's still very important for Fnatic. They just need to delay the push. So a one-on-one without a tower falling for them is very, very
Dire's
good.
middle
Now
tower
Xiao 8 is
is
going to
under
hook up with the rest of LGD on bottom. And yeah, this tower is going to fall very, very quickly because the glyph has been used and the tower at 265 HP. But at least they take a little bit of pressure. They delay the T1 death, and
Dire's
Trixie
middle tower
is getting
is under
some
attack.
sort of help in his lane. Yao, meanwhile, pressuring mid.
Mid flying,
Radiant's
spins a
top tower
disruption,
is
and
under
Yao
attack.
forced to hustle on out of town as his illusions were doing damage. In the meantime, AUI has continued to just free farm. He's sitting near the top. Necrophos sitting at 33, but 30 CS for AUI at this point. Really not a bad start at all. And this is what they need. I agree with you, though. I feel like they need even more. This bottom tier 1, very near to crumbling now, and Fnatic has to decide, are they going to trade or are they going to try and make something happen
Radiant's
underneath
top
that tower
tower
when the
is under
inevitable push
attack.
comes?
And here they go. Trixie, he is so underperformed right now. Level 3.5, just brown boosted and stout shield. And this was their very early pickup. And Slark, I don't really imagine him that much as a comeback hero. I think he's more of a snowball hero.
Oh, yeah.
But in this particular game, there is no way he's going to succeed versus that tri-lane unless there's a gross misstep. Yeah, with observer wards, placing him around. Let's see where he... Already placed them. I'm surprised this T1's tower on bottom is still alive for Fnatic. LGD had 4 heroes down there. They have the early Basilius on Necrophos. They have the level 3 heal, as well as the Venomancer level 2 wards, and they still didn't even get any more damage on it. So I'm surprised that it's still up, and this Observer ward is going to fall pretty soon too, and they're going to be pushing into very risky territory come 7 minutes.
Trixie's getting some much-needed experience more than anything. They shoved up under the tower, then abandoned the siege, as you said. Demon is locked and loaded, though. He's got a passenger, and they're going to try to make something happen here in mid, try to bait the fight. No Tail showing his face. In the meantime, there's 4 at bottom for LGD. And
LGD should know that something's up, though, just because top lane is completely unoccupied. Oh, there's Xiao 8. They might jump on him just because of the side of the ward. There he goes. Demon, nice prediction.
Radiant's middle
Xiao 8.
tower is under
That was
attack.
into the fog, too.
Demon jumping and getting the kill, and now pushing the tier 1 off of it. The tier 2 bottom will drop in response, and they may push
Radiant's
through. They
middle
will.
tower.
That was
Dire's
just very,
bottom
very
tower
nice
has
heads-up
fallen.
play by Demon. He placed a ward over here, but he could have been standing anywhere in this area over here, even technically over here, too, and he guessed almost completely correct.
Radiant structures
And Nightmare
are
taking off a fly.
fortified.
Trixie going to leap away. They're going to
Dire's
dive
bottom
back.
tower
Very
is
nice
under
play
attack.
there
Radiant's
to
middle
help his
tower
body
is
out
under-
and use his own
Radiant's
skill set to
middle
get
tower
away and
has
keep himself
fallen.
safe. In the meantime, the tier 1 mid has dropped. LGD laying into the tier 2 bottom now. Doesn't look like there's going to be any concerted response. They've got 2 there, make it 3. But they're not going to get there in time. They are going to try and take a fight, it would seem, though. Tower destroyed
Dire's bottom
as
tower
LGD
has fallen.
manages to avoid having it denied. In the meantime, though, Xiao 8 just continuing to farm away here in mid.
Yeah, Fnatic is getting pushed, but they're not getting pushed that badly. They've only lost 2 towers in 8 minutes, and they've
Dire's
gotten
top
1
tower
tower of
is
their
under
own.
attack.
So I think even more important than them being slightly ahead in kills is just not letting all their towers fall and just slowing down LGD's push. It could have easily been 2 towers in
Dire's
5
top
minutes,
tower is
and
under
the
attack.
mid T1 down too by 8-minute mark. So I think it's very important that they're slowing this game down, and LGD is rotating. They're still rotating very slowly. They're not getting very many levels on their supports too. Visage is still level 4. Bane is still level 4. So those very powerful ultimates and Fiend's Grip and Summon Familiars are not going to be online for quite some time. Shadow Demon is level 4 too, but that's not as big of a deal as Visage and Bane still being under leveled.
I'm over here. See, LGD's hooked up as a team here in mid, all 5 present for this push. Just Demon and Fly there for the moment.
I think Fly should have skilled 2 points of Shadow Poison instead of 2 points of Soul Catcher, just for more anti-push.
Right now, the push looking anything but anti. They're going to move up. Rabbit's there, leading the charge, and this tower will melt so fast.
They still have a glyph. They should use it soon just to delay. I think the tower's going to fall. They might go for Demon. If he gets Dragon Tailed, he is dead. And there's no life stealers. I don't know. Oh, he's TPing in.
Here we go. TP's in, coming in hard. AUI's there. They're going to jump on Yao. Yao vortexed out. And the damage just isn't there. They're able to blow up the Shadow Demon in the meantime. Now Zhao 8 doing what he can. The no-tail will end up trading himself for Chen. Now AUI in trouble. He's got rage in 4 seconds. Needs to retreat. Will he be able to make it? He will be able to rage. One more auto attack might do it. They dive quite deep. Here's another TP coming in. DD still on his tail and gets him with the brain sap. Rabbit now pursued out by Trixie. Has Fly behind him as support, but unable to follow it up. So Fnatic gets one, but they trade 2 away.
LGD's 5-man is just too strong, and I mean, it's just a lineup issue at this point. And LGD, I mean, they're doing the exact thing that they should be doing, trying to force fights and trying to force Fnatic to come to them. And they tried to initiate. It wasn't the best because Lifesteal didn't actually infest in the bomb, and they also had a Bane defensive sleep to counter the electric vortex. So I think that LGD just played that fight very, very well, and there's no good reason for them to stop. They won the last fight. They have the gold, and they have the gold advantage right now, as well as the experience slightly tipping in their favor right now. They have Fiend's Grip. Bane was level 4. Now he's level 7 from that fight after getting the solo kill on Lifestealer.
Oh yeah, so important for him.
And now the mech is up on Rabbit, and I just don't see the snowball stopping anytime soon. They're going to take the T2, they're going to take the other T2, they can do Roshan, and after that, it's pretty much the same situation that Vici was in. If they take all the T1s and the T2, oh, there's a smoke actually. Fnatic is not going to give this tower up easily.
They know they have to do something.
Top tower is under attack.
This is one of only 2 outer tier towers remaining. They need a win. They blow it here, and the game very well could slip away from them before it barely gets started. Here's the TP and the jump from Demon. Demon grabs Rabbit. Rabbit, though, going to be nightmared out, and Demon blown up but disrupted. Now the Fiend's Grip on the AUI. Demon able to jump to safety. Rabbit doing what damage he can. They managed to clean up 1 for 1. No tail next on the list, though, and it looks like Fnatic just doesn't have the survivability or the firepower. GD going to be Vortex, but Demon at best will trade himself for 1. And able to get away, just barely. Nope, there's the Gale. So DD makes it a double kill. Trixie has re-entered the fight, but Poison Nova off, and he's going to end up dead before he can do much of anything. Another TP in.
He bought back for that too.
Yep. And that's what it comes down to. They just do not have the firepower. They don't have the survivability. The initiation was there.
The defensive sleep again from Bane. Yeah. DD has just been so good with his sleeps. He had a full duration grip on Aoi too.
Yep.
So they had a defensive disrupt on Storm Spirit, but he was pretty much already dead already from that. And then the sleep on the Necrophos kept him alive so he could Death Pulse and mech. So I think that Bane is proving to be a very, very big issue for Fnatic.
11-7 as we cross 12 minutes now. Still very early in this game, and already we can see the metrics getting a little out of hand. Fnatic just not finding that groove we're so used to seeing them find. And of course, part of that due to playing with 2 replacements, but just as much due to LGD's decision-making. Their movement and their willingness to force fights has just served them immensely well so far.
I think that Shadow Demon probably not the best pickup because he's just not the best anti-pusher against Fnatic or against LGD's 5-man, and also he's not that good at pushing towers himself. So those 2 factors combined just leads to a very lackluster early game from Fnatic, and I think all of it had to do with defending this T1 in mid. If they didn't defend that, yeah, sure, the T1 and the T2 will likely fall, but at least they're not in this very difficult position where they're almost 10,000 gold behind. They have 1 T2 tower left, and there's a zip.
And here we go. DD jumped on and sleeps himself. Demon has to make a run for it. DD still alive. And there's the Fiend's Grip onto AUI. Nearly full duration. He's disrupted, but he has to limp away. In the meantime, Trixie laying into him. Fly cleaned up on the back of the fight. And Fnatic gets 3. They managed to get AUI home via the Chen send back.
It's like who do you focus on LGD? They focus Rabbit last time, and then DD keeps him alive. They focus DD, and then Rabbit keeps him alive. And DD was also able to sleep himself. So there, look at Bane right now. He has 1350 HP with 6 strength from Earn, with 9 strength from the Drums of Endurance, with 8 strength from Power Treads, and a couple of branches to boot. He is so difficult to kill right now. And if they don't focus down DD or Rabbit very early on in the fight, they're just going to lose the fight just due to a couple Dragon Tails, to another full duration Fiend's Grip, and Fnatic is just falling apart at this point in the game.
At this point, not a single tower remains for Fnatic. Only one tower is down for LGD. Their map control is absolute, and this game is theirs to win or lose. Fnatic, though, as you said, I mean, their lineup just has a very particular set of inherent weaknesses, namely Slark, not a come-from-behind hero. A Lifestealer can be in the right situations, but not when he has nowhere to farm because he has no map control and his team can't go anywhere unless they're together. Storm Spirit, same way. That mechanism is miles and miles away. No chance he'll have that up. No Tail, broke as a joke and no way to make money. Shadow Demon, struggling as well. And we take a look at the overall net worth, and that's about what you'd expect to see. Top 4 in terms of net worth all belong to LGD.
Yeah, Fnatic's weaknesses in their draft right now, they lack AoE, at least anti-push AoE, and they lack team fight, and they lack just anti-push in general. Like a Magnus or something like that would be, it wouldn't be that great, but it's better than what they have right now. But anything like that would have done at least better than what they have. What's currently going on for them. 14-7, they're down by 7 kills. They're down by 5 towers right now, and looks like LGD is going to make a move for the T3. Screw Roshan. But yeah, they had very, very big gaping holes in their draft, and LGD is taking full advantage of it.
Under assault, not a whole lot that Fnatic can do about it. They're going to use the glyph to try and buy some time. That's a fresh Elder Dragon form. So it's going to have quite
There's a jump inside.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
This is, if they lose this fight, this should be GG. So it's really all on Demon. Can he pull it off with initiation?
Middle tower has fallen.
Rax under assault. There it is. They're going to jump, and he managed to get a bunch of them. Rabbit's in trouble, but slept again. BKB is up. Chen uses the heal. Rabbit, more stabbed, just barely to safety, and he gets the kill on No Tail. Trixie and AUI chase him down. Trixie using the Dark Pack, but it doesn't matter. He melts immediately afterwards, and AUI, even with his armlet, caught again. DD has been playing out of his mind this game. He will go ahead and rage, but auto attacks are all they need. That's 5 down. That's a heart on Xiao 8, and that's a GG.
Venomancer, and I think the MVP was Bane. Bane with those defensive sleeps and the full duration grips was just ridiculously well played. So 0 deaths both on Yao and DD, and LGD, they pretty much did what their lineup expected, and it wasn't anything surprising coming out. I'm surprised that Fnatic didn't draft around it, just because Venomancer and Dragon Knight already lead to a very strong push core, and LGD is one of the few teams that does run Necrolite a lot.
We can see Xiao 8 finish 1-3-15, and with the Heart of Tarrasque in his inventory, somehow by a miracle, 4-0-12 for Yao. Great performance from him. The unanimous, at least at this caster's table, MVP though. That'd be DD, 5-0-5 on that Bane. Sub 17-minute win, and LGD moves themselves just 1 win away from advancing to our upper bracket finals. Fnatic facing the potential of falling to the lower bracket today and facing elimination later. Thanks so much for being a part of the broadcast, guys. This is our second best of 3 of the day. I'm your host, AC. This is Merlini, of course. I'll tell you what, man, we've had some great matches so far. This obviously not the closest match we've had all day.
Well, Alliance won game 1, but I mean,
exactly.
Vici came running back for a 2-1 victory. So
right, and I feel like there were some bright spots there. I feel like the draft was just lacking some element. You know what I mean? Like
it was lacking a lot of elements.
Fair enough. See, I'm the diplomatic one. You're the Merlini.
I mean, they just got rolled in the push route. It was very clear cut.
No doubt about it. And we're going to be moving ahead to our second game coming up in just a moment, guys. So stick with us. Fnatic going to look to turn the bagel into a breadstick, but LGD thinking 2-0. We'll find out which is up to the task next on the HyperX D2L. We'll be right back.